Hey, good morning, Jacques. How are you?
I'm doing outstanding. I'm talking to Garth Brooks.
Entering his second year as the LSU head football coach.
It was the only way I could get a foot in the door.
Joined by the icon, Kim Mulkey. Hey, Coach, great to see you. Well, this is a treat right here. We're joined by LSU baseball royalty again. It's hard to believe that 2009 was 16 summers ago, but Anthony Ranaudo was on the mound for the Tigers. Did it just hit you?
Yeah, I was like, why do you have to say that?
I know,
16.
right? It doesn't feel like that long ago.
Everything was good before that. I was like,
Right.
yeah, I felt good about remembering. Yeah, 16 just sounds
2009, yeah. And you were throwing pitches, and Micah Gibbs, Gibby here, was framing them up behind home plate. And thanks for coming down today to relive some memories, and then hopefully LSU's going to make some new ones moving forward here.
Hopefully, yeah. It's the best time of year. I was telling Nick Ponoff about this the other day. I was like, I love when LSU baseball is in the postseason going to Omaha because it makes us kind of relevant for like a couple weeks again. Yeah, it's fun. Yeah.
Yep.
Well, and then LSU baseball fans, sometimes you grow up so spoiled. I know I would say, I'll start watching them when they go to Omaha.
Yeah.
You know, some people do that. They just take it for granted.
I pick up my viewing a little bit as the season goes on, and then definitely now it's like can't miss it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and it's when it gets on TV, it gets easier to watch and things like that. People talk about it more, so yeah.
Well, the tradition. So LSU has been to Omaha 20 times, and the first time they went was 1986. So 1986 is going to be 40 years next year. So you're going every other year. LSU basically is going to Omaha every other year. Who else does that? No one, right?
That is crazy. Yeah, wow. Oh my gosh.
This time of year, so you guys both were part of 2 World Series, right?
Yep.
In 2009, you were a big part. 2008, you were kind of in the
I
shadows.
was a spectator. Yeah, I got to hang out a little bit. I threw one inning. It was fun. Yeah.
You threw one inning in Omaha?
I did. Yeah, it was a little mop-up inning. I think it was like we were losing 8. I think it was the first game against Carolina. Maybe we were losing like 8-1, and Maneri threw me in there in the 8th inning. You know, like get 3 outs and.
I think I remember even on the chat room, the chat boards, they were like, "This guy Ranaudo, even though he came in late, he's got something in that one inning."
Yeah, thank you. That's what it was. It was the one inning. Yeah, it sold people. No, but that's I actually had good numbers in the limited innings that I had that year, and you know, I guess with all the rankings and all that crap, right? I was one of the high ones coming in. So I think people had high expectations, and anytime you throw 13 innings and you don't give up a run, people love to run with that story like I was going to be this savior, but yeah.
Well,
it was fun.
In 2009, looking at the stats here from LSUsports.net, Anthony Ranaudo 12-3 record, and of course pitched the pivotal Game 3 against Texas to win the title. Lewis Coleman, not too shabby, 14-2 that year, a 2.9 ERA. And then Gibby, let's see, what did Gibby do that year? Pretty well. You were batting well over 300, I believe, and your last year in 2010, you were over 400 most of the year.
Yeah. I think I finished like 388-ish, somewhere in there. Yeah.
But you batted.
It was over. Yeah, I think it was over 400 going into SEC tournament.
Yeah.
And then an unnamed person asked me about it a couple times on that interview, and I was like, "Oh, don't jinx it, don't jinx it." And then SEC tournament didn't go too well.
Yeah,
we won it, but.
Anthony, you've been in the media business. How am I supposed to massage that?
You gotta talk about it, right? It's part of it. It's part of it, but I guess.
I remember one time they were saying, somebody said I wasn't giving LSU softball enough media coverage. So we go out, we do a big story, we do a big feature on the head coach. They start losing. So it's like
I can't win. Yeah,
you jinxed them.
Yeah,
you jinxed them. I'm like, well, you can't win for losing. You know.
You just gotta try multiple different ways to do it. I've noticed like the announcer jinx of like the people that are commentating when there's a no. You know, it's like you do it for your team, against your team every now and then. That way you're like, oh, it works, it doesn't work.
Yeah.
Go with the flow.
If it's not your team, you're like, hey, looks like it's got 70 hits. There's no hits.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you play with it a little bit.
So tell me about this time of year, because you play all these games during the regular season. You're out there when it's chilly in February, and then you get excited about SEC play and SEC tournament. But really, what you do in June is what you're remembered for.
Yeah, absolutely. I think, talking about that, our freshman year, we went to Omaha, right? And we knew what to expect coming back in 2009. And that's really what we were, obviously the whole year we were playing to win and win the SEC championship, but you're playing for June. And when this time of year comes around, it seems like, and I was just on Jacob Hester's show talking about it, right? There's always those people that step up at certain times, and that's the most fun part of the year because of that. Everybody's roles really start locking in, and the team starts gelling, and everything is about winning. So it's like the best time of the year. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think, like you were just talking about the stats, it's like the regular season is where you build those stats for awards and stuff like that. When you get to the postseason, all that stuff's done. Like most of those awards are already spoken for. All the stuff's already in there and haze in the barn, as they say. Where it's like when you get to postseason, it's, hey, get the job done, win the game.
Yeah.
Like that's the most important thing. But it's also the most fun because you're out of school and they're just hanging out with your boys and it's just baseball.
That's a big part of it too. We look forward to it because we knew we didn't have any more school. It was just baseball. It was literally just practice and games.
Yeah, sun's going down at 8:30, right? There's an energy in the air.
Oh yeah.
You
It's
know,
a different time of year. It's special.
Yeah, and you talk about people stepping up, Anthony. So Cason Evans like saves the season on a Monday night against Little Rock. I mean, if he comes out and gets shelled, and they're already down 5-1, if they go down 10-1, it's over.
I think if he's a different pitcher too, you can kind of test this, right? Like, how many games did you feel the momentum changing, good or bad, right? So for me, in that game that he came in against Little Rock, that energy was bad in that stadium. Like, things were stale a little bit. People were getting a little anxious of like, when are we going to score these runs? Let's go, right? And to his credit, I felt like he had this like innate ability to be like, nope, this ain't happening. Boom, 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 boom. He's pitching fast. He's not letting them step out, right? He's not letting the pitching guy or the guy call offensive timeout. So to me, that awareness and then the ability, obviously, to do what he did, striking out 9 guys in a row at one point, and the stuff takes care of itself. But like that awareness to get the crowd into it was, I think, the defining moment that changed it.
Yeah. The things I saw was, I mean, his pace is unbelievable. Like, and that's the one thing I always remember talking with pitchers is the quicker you can pitch and the more you can go at your pace, you get it away from the offense's pace. You don't let them settle in. And they had all this energy. They're the pesky underdog. And then when I saw like he shut them down a couple times, and then Fry gets that big hit in the gap, and you could just look in their dugout, and you could just tell. I was like, oh, they're not scoring again. Yeah. Like they're you could just tell they were done. They knew it was over.
Yeah. Early in the season in February, if you're a fan, you want to sit in the outfield bleachers because the sun's on you because it's chilly. And then at the Super Regional, you want to be in the shade. And Saturday was brutally hot. And I just want to get your take as a catcher with all that stuff on, a guy like Luis Hernandez who's got to go out there and squat for 3.5 hours.
Oh yeah, no, I mean at that point it's like survive in advance. You take your at bats and everything's serious. When you go out there behind home plate, like let's get through the inning, let's go quick, and that's where I'm like, for me especially, it's all about pace. And you're just trying to do everything you can to just make sure you're catching every single ball, doing your work behind the plate, and then once you get back in, you can kind of recover, get some water, all that stuff. But yeah, it's an advantage because you're used to it. You're used to it down here where these teams aren't playing in humid conditions. It can get to them. And I think it did with West Virginia.
And from a pitcher's standpoint, Anthony, I mean, some people look at baseball and they may not think strength and conditioning is important because a lot of times you're stationary, right?
Yeah.
But when you're standing on the mound like a Cade Anderson was on Saturday trying to dig deep and throw these pitches, I mean, how much is conditioning and all that important?
Oh, it's huge. And I think the heat plays a huge role in that too, especially as you're getting into the 100-inning point, right, for these guys, is you're getting fatigued just because of the length of the season, but then you're playing at the hottest part of the season, right? And I remember that was my story. Do you remember the last game, him and I were taking our jerseys off and putting them in the dryer, Maneri's laying down, getting IVs and getting fanned and everything, and him and I were just trying to survive. I can't grip the baseball because it's so sweaty, and I'm dead. I'm like, I can't throw 90 miles an hour anymore. Like, it really does wear on you over time. But to Micah's point, right, this is what you work for. This is what you play for. Like, somehow you find a way, and that's what Cade did, right? I mean, now granted they gave him a lot of runs, but he found ways just to get outs and get through 6 innings and put his team in a position to win where they didn't have to use a lot of pitchers. And good ones find a way to do that. Yeah.
What do you make of this combination of Cade Anderson and Anthony Ianson as they go to Omaha?
I mean, I think it's probably one of the best 1-2. It's got to be the best 1-2 in the country, right? I mean, both of them have elite stuff too. They're not just like a good college arm, right? Both of them are going to pitch in the big leagues, in my opinion. And I think Cade's catching some crazy momentum where he might be the number 1 overall pick right now, which is crazy to see. But I mean, he's pitching to that ability right now and has proven that he is a guy that can go 6 innings every single time. And that's really what you're looking for as the Friday guy, right? And especially going into Omaha, even though I did it, but you can't really go 3 innings in the first game, right? You set your team up for failure, and that's what he's done. He's trusted Jay has trusted him, and he has not failed to go into the 6th, the 7th, the 8th inning as that Friday guy. And then Ianson, to me, his stuff is electric, and he can compete with any of them in the league. So I love our 1-2 combo.
And what about the element of bringing Ianson into close games like a Lewis Coleman? did, right? I mean, how does that, take place? Because you pitch and then, in the back of your mind, you say, okay, I can maybe give 20, 30 pitches in a day or two?
Yeah, and again, it goes off adrenaline, right? Like, we throw sides and we have our own routines and stuff, but that what I think speaks to him as a competitor. He didn't care. He was having a career year, right? He's getting set up to be a junior, to be drafted, and he didn't care. He came in the SEC tournament, came in after where he needed to, because it was setting him up for the next start or whatever the team needed. So I see a guy that can do both in the big leagues too. Like, it looks like he can pitch, and his stuff will probably elevate up a little bit in that role because he's such a competitor and he pitches off that adrenaline. But then he's proved that he can go 6-7 innings and get through a lineup 2 or 3 times too, which is pretty cool.
I think Anthony could speak on this a little more than me, but I know I've seen guys, at least that I've played with, where they're great as starters, but relievers, they struggle, and vice versa. Like, some guys are just built for certain roles. So I think just being able to see that especially is awesome. The other thing is, I can't remember how many days rest he had, but usually you're around that kind of bullpen day anyway. So when those kind of line up, that always helps too, because you're going to plan on throwing like a 30-pitch bullpen usually a few days after a start. So that lines up too. That makes it so much easier to basically use that as your bullpen.
Yeah, you weren't on the team in 07, were you?
I was not.
Okay. Jared Bradford was another guy, like Maneri's first year when they didn't have a whole lot. I mean, he was pitching on Friday, saving on Sunday. They didn't
Lewis did that a lot too for a little while.
Yeah,
right?
he did.
Like,
he would. I think he was kind of. It was almost like an emergency. It's like, hey, like, you're going to close one of these first 2 games out if it's close at the end, and then if it's not too many pitches, you're going to start Sunday.
Right.
Yeah.
And I did that in the SEC tournament too. Like, I came in and closed out the SEC tournament championship game our junior year because we needed to win. We needed to win to get to get a bid. At that point, we probably got it, but we wanted to win, and it was my bullpen day anyway. And my arm felt great, and so it was actually probably the best I felt all year, honestly. And it was on 2 or 3 days rest after throwing 100 pitches. So
yeah, and referencing that, the regular season, is very important because of the draw you get. I'm not going to say LSU got an easy draw here, but that year you get sent out to UCLA and you got to go against Trevor Bauman and who's the other guy?
Garrett Cole.
Yeah, two major league guys in their park.
2 Cy Young guys. That's like two Cy Young winners.
2 Cy Young guys, and their Sunday guy played in the big leagues.
Yeah, started for 3 or 4 years. Yeah, it was a crazy team. But yeah, it's luck of the draw, and it was. I don't know how we got UCLA, right? Like, it's supposed to be our regional. Yeah, that doesn't seem too regional to me. But.
Right. Yeah, you won the SEC tournament.
Right. Yeah.
Beat Alabama on a Sunday night, like late because of the rain delays and everything.
Yep.
I remember the first game of the regional. Trey Watkins came through. It was like, oh, there's that magic again, but didn't quite last.
No, it didn't. And Trevor Bauer, I think he struck out 14, and I didn't. I think I gave up like 4 runs. I didn't have a great game, but I mean, he was electric that night too.
Yeah, I mean, I would have loved to see us go to any other regional. Just about. I mean, that like 1-2 punch.
Literally, yeah. I think we win pretty much any other regional. Yeah.
And it was a very talented team. You had Blake Dean, you had Mikey.
I think the offense was actually better that year than 09, statistically at least. It was just that, like, after you got past Anthony and Austin Ross, it was like we were trying to figure some out because we had some freshmen trying to figure that part out, and then the bullpen was a little bit rough. So
and Maddie and I both having we were supposed, having a Friday and a closer coming in. You're supposed to be set up, right? And both of us had terrible years, so it was that kind of stuff really affects it. We were number 1 in the country at one point. We were very good that year. It was just I think the pitching staff kind of held us back.
Well, we look at all the sports at LSU: 2019 LSU football, 2023 women's basketball, 2023 baseball, gymnastics, 2024. No one has repeated out there, and it just goes to show you: A, it's hard to win it to begin with, and B, it's much, much harder to repeat as a champion.
Yep. But I know, talking to Nolan Kane, who we both played with, and he said it's even harder now because most of like the NIL stuff and the transfer portal recruiting is going on right now. So he's like, you're in Omaha trying to win games where all these other schools are getting to have kids on campus.
Right.
So he's like, it's really hard to repeat and get back to Omaha back-to-back years because these teams are reloading, and like these kids, they just want to go on these visits and figure out where they're going to go.
Right.
They don't care as much about like, oh, hey, you're in Omaha right now. That's awesome. Like, I want to go there.
Yep.
Yeah. Well, the calendar's screwed up. I know just women's basketball. I was talking to Bob Starkey, the longtime assistant coach. They're trying to get ready for UCLA to go to the Final Four, but they're spending 4 or 5 hours on Zoom calls with transfer portal kids trying to recruit. It's just.
And if you don't, you're losing. You're falling behind, right? And so that's the point. I mean, I think they said this year there's no teams that were in Omaha last year, right?
Right.
I think. Yeah. So there's your point right there. Is nobody's going back. That was there last year recruiting. recruiting. So.
Well, look, these guys on the current LSU team, they're living good. You know, they're getting on the bus, and they got a guy there from the local car dealership, and you guys all good? Yeah, I'm going to talk to you about that stereo I need, or those rims, or whatever, you know. So they're living good, and rightfully so.
Yeah.
But it does seem like they are all bought in, and all the things you worry about, the me, I, selfish, all that. I don't sense any of that with these guys. I'm not around them a ton, but winning, I guess, is the ultimate deodorant, but it's for anything, but it seems like they're all bought in.
It does, and I think Dylan Cruz used to say that about that team, was the leadership on that team was everybody just wanted to win. That's what this team feels like. It doesn't feel like anybody's really the spotlight guy, you know. Even all the superstars, they all know their roles, it feels like, and I think the leadership is just like expecting to win, and that's what they're there for. So I enjoy watching this team a lot.
Yeah. I said at this point, every team that's there is talented. At this point, it's about cohesion and like how these guys get along and be a team. Like, this is the team part of the season for sure.
That's a great point. Yeah.
Well, you guys both played at Ellick Box, obviously, so you were used to 10, 11, 12,000 people. You go to this place in Omaha, it's 25, I think, or something like that. So it's not that eye-opening, but how important is it to get them over there? I think there's 8 guys from the national championship team on this one, and Josh Pearson was the guy that played the most. So the other guys were more role players. How important is it to get them there, kind of get their feet on the ground, lean into it? I think that's what Jay said, that he wants them to enjoy the press conferences, taking the picture outside the Warren Morris statue, as they call it, in front of the stadium, and then, hey, look, like the movie Hoosiers, right? It's the same dimensions, and just play the game.
Yep. No, I think that's exactly right. It's about breathing. It's about realizing dimensions are the same. But I think the best part about Omaha is if it gets loud, it's usually in your favor. Like, you don't have to worry about. Now, Arkansas could be pretty close. Like, they've got a really good fan base too. Yeah. But outside of that, I mean, it's going to be pretty LSU heavy, I got to expect.
Yeah, and that experience, to your point, right? There was 8 guys, but I think just the ability of Jared Jones being a guy on that team and, you know, having that experience and being one of the leaders this year, I think that speaks volumes. And I think even like Gavin Guidry probably being a presence in the dugout is going to be a big thing. The guy that got the last out, right? That leadership. When we went there our freshman year, nobody had been there. It was very new to us. We were all there experiencing it the first time together, where we didn't know if we belonged. We felt like we did, but I don't know if we were really bought in. And then 2009, it was like, we know what we're doing here. And that's what I think Jay is trying to pull out of those guys. And those 8 or 9 guys, if they're good leaders, they're exuding that throughout the whole team, you know?
Yeah. And if things go the way you want them to go, like 2 years ago, you're there a long time. I mean, you get there, I got there on Wednesday and then left 2 Wednesdays later, literally 2 weeks. Yeah. Now, look, paradise, fun, great weather, it's baseball and all that, but then that can wear on some people that, oh my God, I've been here for 2 weeks, you know. Why is everything long in baseball, Micah? So many games, these marathons, like these extra inning things. And were you on the staff, what was that, at SEC tournament game against Mississippi State, where we left like 2 or 3 in the morning? I don't think you might have been.
I mean,
that was like 17, 18, 19, something.
I was there in that range. I mean, I remember plenty of SEC games where we're playing it. It's basically midnight or close to. I mean, there's always rain delays there and everything. But I mean, at this point in the year, like SEC tournament, if it wasn't for Omaha and what Omaha stands for, like SEC tournament was like the most fun place there is on earth. Like the guys love it. So that's fun. Like, you're not worried about what time it is, like any of that stuff. And then Omaha too, it's like, yeah, I want to be there for a month. I mean, like 2 weeks is nothing for.
Yeah, we didn't feel like we were there, but I think the parents, everybody, that's what we felt was long too. I felt bad. I remember my dad had like fell off a ladder and tore his patella, and he couldn't go to Omaha. But my girlfriend at the time, her parents came out there and they stayed for like a week, and I was like, I felt guilty. I was like, why are you guys here? Like, this is, I appreciate it, but it seems like a lot, right? So even for the fans and everybody, I was like, this is a lot for them. Us, we were living a dream. Yeah, it was great.
Well, most fans, they have to pick either or. They have to pick, okay, I'm going to go for the first week, but then I set myself up for, well, if they make it the championship, I gotta leave, or I'm going to go if they make it the championship and they don't make it the championship and I don't go at all. So
correct. Yeah, it's a tough one. Yeah, and that's kind of where I'm at right now. I want to go, but I'm like, do I go in the beginning? Do I wait for the end maybe? But it's the first time in the last 4 or 5 years that I've stepped away from my business that I actually have some time to be able to go. So that's where I'm kind of in that predicament right now. Yeah.
Well, what about the hitters on this team? So you've got like a Derek Curiel, who's a true freshman, who you wonder if he knows he's at LSU, right? The way he plays. And then you've got like Stephen Milam. Stephen Milam is the ultimate Skip Bertman guy, right? You don't have to be 6'5" and bench press 350. I mean, they list him at 5'8", 8 or so. He's more like 5'4", not 4'5", 5'5" maybe or something like that. And he gets out there and rakes, right? So what are you seeing out of the position players?
Yeah, no, I think they're doing great. They're kind of getting hot right at the right time. But at this point, again, it's like take the stat sheet, throw it away, like just move it on to the next guy. Everybody do their job. For example, like Milam, I don't think he's having the season he wanted to have. I know for me, my regular season in 09 wasn't the season I wanted to have. But when I got to the postseason, it's like you flush it and you just take every at bat one at a time. And you know that they matter so much. So I think we have a lot of guys that have been there, have some veteran to them. And then a guy like Curiel, he kind of reminds me of like DJ and Bregman, where it's like, it almost feels like this is like the step ladder on the way to the big leagues.
Yeah.
And he's just like, oh yeah, that's just the step I got to take to do it. And he's just got a presence and an ability that's not like most.
Yeah. And they hit opposite way too, right? In the game one, I think Curiel, he goes opposite way. And then Milam goes opposite way. I mean, what you're doing right now for a living is hitting and analytics and all these numbers. I'm just a dumb guy that says, here's the pitch, he hit 3-run homer, LSU up 3-0. I mean, I'm pretty simplistic in what I'm talking about. You are really deep diving into it.
Yeah, no, I mean, I'm looking at, when I watch games, I'm looking at swings, I'm looking at what bat they're using, and obviously we talked about the ball a little bit earlier before this, but there's some dynamics of the game that are a little different than when we were playing. So it allows these guys to go opposite field. Guys that maybe wouldn't have been able to with the bats back in the day and the ball back in the day. But yeah, I'm watching guys swings, and I'm just watching approaches, and just like I like where they're headed, and I know Jay's got that covered, and I have no worries for them going to Omaha.
And a guy like Ethan Fry, who's a big moose, right? Like Matt Clark, the ball's coming off his bat, 117, 113, something like that.
Yeah. No, I mean that's what a big leaguer looks like. Yeah. Like if there's anybody on our team, like obviously Jared Jones too, but Ethan Fry, like if people don't realize how fast he is too, like that's for me tools, like that's like a top like couple round pick. That kid's got the skill set, and again, that's what it looks like when you walk in a big league clubhouse. The guys look like that.
Yep. And if he keeps getting the reps, right, like it's usually for a guy that just needs to have pitch recognition, at bats, that kind of stuff, pro ball is the exact spot he needs to be at. So I agree. I think he could be a second or third round pick because of the upside with him for real. Yeah.
And then a Pearson, who's a veteran presence who maybe isn't in the lineup every day, but, you know, saved the national championship with his catch in game 1 against Florida 2 summers ago, and has been clutch in different situations. And as Jay says, his heartbeat never goes over 58 or something like that. You know, he's like this all the time. He could certainly have a big moment or two.
Yeah, no, I think you got to trust your veteran guys, and I know whether he's starting, not starting, like he's going to be ready to play if his name gets called. But like you said with the heartbeat, you got to know who you are. Like, am I a slow heartbeat guy or a Mikey Mottook where tons of energy? You know, like he got a big hit for us obviously in 09. So you need those guys that have the energy. But you also need those guys you can count on that kind of slow the game down and kind of control the pace. You
were on the staff with Maneri in 17, right?
Yep.
So you've seen both sides of it. 09, everything falls together. Yep. 2017, we're snake bit. We get Eric Walker hurt, and you know, if we would have had all our bullets in the gun, we were national champs.
Yeah. The other thing a lot of people don't think about is when it started blowing in. It was blowing out the whole time. I think we were setting some home run records too. Like Papierski had I think a homer from each side in one game against Florida State. And it was just those things, like every possible little thing that could possibly go wrong felt like it went wrong in that final series. But guys competed hard, and that's baseball. Like you got to have a little bit of luck. You got to have some injury luck, like all those things if you're going to win the whole thing.
Yeah. And a guy like Kramer Robertson, I still see him and talk to him, and it's like it happened yesterday. It's like the pain hasn't gone away.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I think he was at third base when Dykeman hit that laser to first base, and they doubled up at home plate and everything. And it's just like every little thing, like a couple inches either direction, and that guy's probably either getting the ball's eating him up or getting past him. So yeah, it was tough, but the guys had a great year, and I wish they could have just finished it off with a championship.
Yeah. We'll see what happens here. 2009, Anthony. So, I mean, it's not rocket science, right, that good players make a good team. And, of course, I'm talking about Buzzy Heidel. No, but
the Buzz.
Yeah. Yes. Buzzy's certainly a big part of that team. But, I mean, Jared Mitchell, right? I mean, he was always good, but then when he got to Omaha that year, it was ridiculous.
Crazy. Yeah, I mean, and I think we had like 13 guys that played AAA baseball or Major League Baseball on that team. It was absolutely ridiculous. And Still had 8 big leaguers, 7 big leaguers or something. Yeah, so I mean that roster was crazy. But to me, what I think about of 09 all the time, and I tell people, was that team was one of the best teams I'd ever played on, but at the same time everybody knew their role and embraced it, and there was not one ego. Like I didn't see it, didn't feel it. It literally was like, are you gonna do your job so we can all win? It was like, we're all boys and we want to win a championship, and that's really all that mattered to us. So that to me was, and to this day I feel like we're all still friends like that. It's really cool.
Speaking of no ego, I don't take credit for anything for the most part, but who said dreadlocks of doom? It was this guy on a sportscast on a Sunday afternoon. It just came to me.
That was your coin? Let's go.
I think it was.
Wow.
I think it was. Well, Chad Jones went in against Tennessee.
Yeah. Or
it was on a Sunday. Auburn. I was thinking Orange.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
There, and I remember Maneri after the game. I was saying, please God, like when they put him in the game. Like he was like, I'm just keeping my fingers crossed. We'll see. And he's flipping curveballs in there, and it's like, whoa, we found something here in Chad Jones.
Right.
You probably have the best 2 guys because he caught him, and then I was doing the chart, so we have the best stories probably from this whole situation.
Yeah, we could probably do a whole other segment on Chad Jones stories, but it was funny because it's like he threw like a bullpen on. I think threw a bullpen, and then like a little bit later threw a bullpen like on the field to live hitters. Yeah. That's a story of its own. And then he puts him in. It's not like he puts him in. Hey, let's put him in 8th inning. We're up 4 or down 4. It was like the game was on the line.
We
with
need
like
this
bases
out.
loaded, and I think it was like
a first rounder.
Like Hunter Morris, Trent Mummy, and it was like he's coming in. But the best part, I think for me, the best part, and I think what probably like kept them like kind of like spooked them a little bit, Auburn that is, was his walk-up song. Remember this? So like his walk-up song was built for him as a hitter. It's like nobody knew he pitched at the time. So he had his walk-up song as a hitter, and as a hitter you get like 20 seconds, something like that.
Yeah.
But for pitchers it was like a minute and a half because they have all that warm-up time. Well, of course he picks a Lil Wayne song, and let's just say like after that 20 seconds it wasn't completely like G-rated. Like they always because they
family
filter
friendly.
it, so it's like these 20 seconds are good. Like
Right.
It's gonna be over. Well, it starts getting pretty aggressive.
Getting to Lil Wayne lyrics.
And like I remember hearing some of it. I throw the ball back and I look in the on deck circle, and Hunter Morris is there, and he's just like looking around like, what is going on? Not to mention this guy has traps from like shoulders to his ears, and it's just like, what is going on?
He's like, where am
now?
I? Like,
and he's just like you said, he's just ripping like big league sliders up there, and just like.
Not even caring.
And the best part was he comes off the field after and he thanks coach for letting him pitch.
It is literally my favorite story. There's a couple of things. Is when you tell him the sign, or like, all right, what sign you want to go, and he's like, I don't know. Like, what is, he said something like, I don't know, first sign or something.
Yeah, he's like, oh yeah, let's go first sign. I'm like, they won't believe it. So we can get away with it for this inning probably.
Like, he's doing outs after he strikes people out. He's like 2 outs. Like I'm like, this is comical. It was unbelievable. Yeah. And then he comes up and thanks coach afterwards. Like it was like a fun participation game. I'm like. Yeah. Chad, we like needed you there. Like
after a few pitches, like I'm calling it, and I put the first one down, and like by the time I'm putting the second one down, he's already coming set, and I'm like, they're gonna know. And I'm like, so we're like in the second hitter, I'm just giving one sign. Like, you could just tell these guys are so like overwhelmed by this whole situation and what's going on, and I'm just like, all right, fastball, come on, let's go.
Literally, that was my favorite part of the story when he told me that. I'm like, stop it, Mike. Are you serious? He's like, dude, he was coming set when I was still doing the signs. I was like, if anybody was tipping signs, they would have known anyway. So he was like, so I'm just doing the one sign after that. I was like, that's
so he shakes Maneri's hand and says, thank you for letting me.
Hey, I'm doing the chart, so I'm like, everybody, we just go and give Chad the high fives. I come back, I sit down, Maneri's like, oh, right? And he's like sitting on the chair, kind of like slumped back like this, and I'm just like doing the charts. I'm like, wow, that was awesome, right? And Chad comes up and he's like, thanks, coach, for letting me pitch today. And I'm like wait, what? Like it was just like, yeah, man, like glad you had a good time out there, Chad. Like
it was like fall ball, nobody in the stands.
Exactly,
Well, I mean, for him, there's probably I don't know how many people were in the stands that day, but that's like it pales in comparison to Tiger Stadium.
Yeah, that's 12,000.
Right.
So for him, that was like a spring game, if that.
It's certainly one of the more special athletes in LSU history, a national champion in both sports, and a tremendous hitter on the football field. Goal line stand against Mississippi State, I think, in 2009. They should have lost.
He returned like he was the best athlete I ever saw in my whole life. And I tell this story all the time of Lewis and I going out early on that bullpen day. And Lewis and I, at this point, this is going into the postseason. We're dominating, having a nice little year. And Lewis and I are looking at each other and like, we do this every single day, and this guy just came from football and was like, I can throw. And he's like dotting up 92. Oh, yeah, I threw a slider in high school, and it's just like, Lewis and I looked at each other and was like, can you do that? And I'm like, no. Like, it's just crazy. He was that guy. And then I remember one time he looks at me in the dugout, and he's like, yo, Renato, I just don't understand. Like, how can you throw 4 balls before you throw 3 strikes? And I was like, hey, Chad, God just didn't put his hand on your shoulder and make everybody like you, dude. I promise you. It's sports aren't as easy for all of us, yeah.
Just like his hobby, right? It's just, I'm just like the guy that picks up golf clubs and shoots a 72 or something.
He's like, you just want to hit this ball and put it in the hole. Like, he's like, yeah, I just got to throw 3 strikes before the 4. Give me this thing. Like, that's literally what he was like.
Wow. Leon Landry, who comes from Baker High School, who no insult to them, but they don't have this great baseball history off the top of my head. They've had some, but it's not like they're Parkview Baptist or something. But this guy was on ESPN a number of times making these circus catches in the outfield.
Yeah, no, the things he was doing out there were incredible. I mean, it was fun to watch. I remember, I think it was in the old box, the one I thought he was going to, like, the fences used to be those metal fences, and he robbed this home run. And I'm like, I thought his arm was about to rip off, like how far over the fence he was.
100%, yeah.
He just comes back with it and jumping up and down. I'm like, let's go.
Yeah.
No, some of the stuff I don't even think I could touch the top of the fence. I mean, I'm not vertically gifted by anything. So, like, everything he was doing, for me, was always amazing.
Yeah. As a pitcher, right, having that guy in center field making those plays for you. So, yeah, he had a really good innate ability to read balls off the bat, and he timed it really well with his dives, right? He knew how to slide and dive and catch balls like in that way, which is a skill itself, right? So he was a great defensive outfielder. Yeah.
Mikey Montauk was a true freshman, right? Steps right in, and he grew up on this stuff, so he's from Lafayette and everything. But another guy who was just ready immediately.
One of my favorite, because I actually want to tell, Mikey and I laugh about this to this day. Like, we still tell the story all the time. He was not ready. He came in as a freshman, and I remember, this is my sophomore year now, so I'm thinking I'm a little bit of a leader, but again, it's the fall. I didn't do anything my year before, right? But I see a freshman out in the outfield struggling, Maneri on him a little bit, chewing him, being like, come on, you can do, like getting on get the ball in the gap, and Mikey's just like struggling. So I see Mikey walking off, he's kind of dejected, and I'm like, hey man, that's all right, first day in the outfield. Literally, I said that to him. I go, first day in the out, like, I'm thinking he's an infielder. Maneri's out there with him, like, trying to like get him to change the position, because I've seen him do this with 4 or 5 guys, right? First day in the outfield, he literally looks at me, he goes, no, I've been an outfielder my whole life. And I was like, hang with him, man. Just keep going. I was like, I don't know what to say there now. But I was like, oh, man, tough day, dude. So, no, Mikey, I think, is such a competitor, right? Like, and he figured out where he fit in that team. And I think his energy, right? You can probably speak to his baseball ability more, but.
I mean, the skill set was never in question. Yeah. It was just like, I remember, like you were saying, I remember, like, Maneri's doing our infield, outfield, or whatever during practice. We do it most days. And he's hitting in balls, and it's like, when you make a mistake, it's not move on. It's like, no, like, get the ball, throw it back in, you're going again. And it was just kept hitting him to him over and over. And I'm like, I'm behind the plate. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm like, Mikey, I feel so bad for you. Yeah. And you just tell he's just getting like a combination of like frustrated and wants to like all this stuff. And it was just, you could see it every single week. He just kind of got like a little bit more. And I think it's a lot of times those emotional guys that they're a little bit up and down until they find that groove where they can really take advantage of it. It just takes them a little bit longer. And we talk about all the time that you have freshmen, but by the time they get to this point, they're not freshmen anymore. Yeah. And that was the exact same thing. So like when he got to SEC tournament postseason, it was like he wasn't a freshman anymore. Like he was locked in, hitting balls hard, making plays, and yeah, I'm sure there's a couple of guys that probably had the same fall experience on this team.
Learned something new today. Didn't realize Mikey was struggling so badly early on.
Just ask him next time if he came into LSU. Say, Anthony Ranaudo told me to ask you if you came into LSU as an infielder, and about your first day in the outfield. Like, we joke about it to this.
He might say, I should have lied. I'm a third baseman.
The first day, man, I'm struggling. But I was a kid from Jersey. I didn't know where he was from. I didn't know anything about. Everybody looked at me like I was stupid when I told them that. They're like, that's Mikey Montauk. I'm like, great. Like, I don't know what that means.
The role players as well. Ryan Bird, did he pitch the SEC championship game in the tournament that year?
I was going to say, there's a couple guys, both him and Nolan, just like had like blackout experiences on the mound, just absolutely incredible. But that when you're in tournament, like a tournament like that, like the SEC tournament, you have to do that. I was going to say, I think that because we lost the first game to Vanderbilt. Yep. It's like 1-0 against Mike Minor. Yep. So you got to come all the way back through that. So it's just like,
him and
whoever's next. Yeah.
Chris McGee and I were talking about that the other day, but we were sitting at Superior just like talking, and he was like, do you remember, we were talking about how hard it is to win a championship. He's like, do you remember Ryan Bird and Nolan? I was like, he's like, how did that happen? I was like, I don't know. It just really was. Like, those dudes were always good pitchers, right? But the performances that they put on in those situations were so like, oh my God, we have to go win now. Let's go, you know? Like, it really was. So I think that those things really mattered in our run.
Well, and you look at the roster and all the guys that got drafted, like you talk about, these guys could have been stars at other places maybe too, as well.
Ryan Bird, to me, was a great leader too.
Yeah,
so, like, Nolan too, like, those guys, when they did well too, you wanted them to do well. We not only did we need it, but it was like Ryan, I remember, was really important to the pitchers, and he took a lot of the younger guys under his belt, like, and he would be that leader that was, like, making jokes with us, doing movie quotes, and like we liked Ryan, you know, like, and felt safe with him, where he was a great leader from that perspective. So when he did stuff on the field, it just like exemplified everything. I
was just saying, like, on our side with Pontiff and McGee and Buzzy and those guys, it's like they were such leaders that, let's say Mikey makes a mistake out in the field, like, everybody's gonna make an error or mistake, whatever. They grab him first before coach had to, and they're correcting it as a team. Like, we're correcting ourselves so that coach doesn't have to. And it's like, when you get to this point, when you're getting to regionals, super regionals, Omaha, it's like, you just play the game. You put your guys out there. You trust them. Coach didn't have to overthink it, and he knew anything that was going on, the players were going to handle it themselves before he ever had to.
And Buzzy, I think, said after the fact, he said, I wouldn't have traded this for anything, you know, being on this team, even though I wasn't an everyday player and all that. And it was real cool having Nick Pontiff on the team after Wally had passed away. You know, you had that connection between the 2000 and 2009 team with the Pontiff name there. So a lot of cool things.
And I think, too, one of the things that was such a differentiator for that team was Maneri brought in a lot of guys our freshman year, JUCO guys, freshmen from out of state. So for me, Buzzy, McGee, Pontiff, Ryan Bird, Nolan Kane, the guys that grew up in Louisiana or knowing about LSU sports, teaching us and being like, this is what we do at LSU, this is how it goes. And to be like, you guys are so much better than us, but we love LSU so much, and this is what it's about, that we just want you guys to succeed so we can all be a part of this team. That, to me, was like the most encouraging thing, where you never felt guilty almost as a freshman coming in or a sophomore and being the dude, right? Yeah. It was like they encourage you, hey, go out there, and that to me was like, this is what this program is about, and it allowed us to kind of embrace LSU and be like, cool, let's go do it for LSU and for the community and all that kind of stuff. So it was cool.
Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
No, I was just saying, like, I remember coming to school and I was happy to beat LSU, obviously, because watching them on TV all the time with Skip Bertman going to Omaha felt like every year. But what those guys did too was, when we were on the bus or even before games at home, we'd always watch highlight videos of the previous teams. And for us, it just, like, for me being from Texas, Anthony from New Jersey, it's like it just made us feel like we're a part of this, something that was a little bit higher than us, a little more special. And, like, you go out there and it's like you want to create those same memories to make, like, your own highlight video, but for LSU and for that community. And it was that was something that they definitely ingrained in us.
Well, one of my fun memories, do you remember when I had Pontiff, Schimpf, Buzzy, McGee, I got them to sing the Kenny Rogers "When You Put Your Heart In It"?
I was actually singing that this morning, thinking about this interview.
I say that all the time. I'm like, that song is forever ingrained in my brain. Yep.
That was the '96 highlight with Warren Morris, right? The gold jerseys, power in the gold that you would watch on the bus.
And then there was another one. Was it it was there was another song too with the '97 one too. That was my '97 highlight video was my favorite to watch, and just watching Doug Thompson strike out that last guy, like, that was one for me. Yeah,
beautiful stuff. All right, correct me as I'm going down the roster here. I guess I can't reference everybody, but I want to talk. Sean Ochenko. So my memory was that he and Maneri were always kind of like, there was this kind of push and pull back and forth. Like, he was talented, but he was up and down. And I heard the story about one time he hit a home run and he kind of pimped it. And then maybe the next day of practice, Maneri is like, well, why didn't you do that the other day when you struck out with the bases loaded and stuff? Those are the kind of things that were said,
Well, I would say Maneri definitely was on the older school side of things in terms of, like, shoes are always in the right place in your locker, and, like, saying, like, if the locker was not kept, we're winning. So, like, and those are the things, though, that carry on past playing that help you out. The things he did for discipline and all that stuff. So Sean, love him. Like, he's one of the funniest people I know. He's a little bit more, like, expressive, if that's the right word to put it.
That was a great word.
Yeah,
so, that was great.
Like, he wants to, like, he wants to hit a homer, and when he hits a homer, he wants everyone to know he hit a homer. So that was one of those things where, like, Maneri, they would always kind of go back a little bit, like a little back and forth, of course, but those are the guys you have to have on your team. Like, you have to have those guys that are personalities, that are expressive and make things fun. So, yeah, it was actually pretty fun watching them.
There was also, like, a weird, like, I don't want to say weird, but there was a love-hate relationship with them, like this, like Italian dad-son thing. It was funny. I know they like cried together when he was like in his exit meeting and all that stuff. Like, it's one of those things. Like, we always told guys, like, if coach is getting on you, that means he cares. Right. So it's like he cared about Sean more than probably almost anybody, because he just knew how talented Sean was. And from time to time, he would definitely get like little. He liked Sean Ochenko. And that's why we love him. He's a great guy.
Well, championship game, what do you have? 4 RBI, 5 RBI? What do you
just ask him? I'll let you know. He always says that. Yeah, but no, he was the best. And honestly, again, he got to deal with them a lot more because they were catchers together when we came in as freshmen. But I remember him being, as a pitcher, right? He was very formative, like in the way that I saw things, because he was so expressive to Micah's point, and the way that he saw things. I was just like, this is an interesting cat, but I love the kid. Yeah.
Ryan Schimpf hit 22 home runs, I believe, on that team. Little guy, and interesting story. He was in the minors a long time, and then got called up and had a nice little run in the majors as well.
Guy knows how to hit homers.
Yes. I would say that I think he got up there right in that like revolution of realizing like hitting the ball in the air is beneficial, especially at the MLB level. Yeah. And he was like, he set a bunch of records for like average launch angle, like basically hitting the ball higher than anybody. And it kind of makes me wonder if like he was maybe like a couple of years later, maybe he would have like hung on a little longer too, because it was still that kind of time and like, is this a good thing? Is it not a good thing? How much you're hitting the ball in the air. And now we've got so much more data, we can understand what's going on with all that. But
DJ LeMahieu. So I remember this tall, kind of lanky. He was kind of pale. He had freckles. This guy's from the north. Who is this guy? I remember somebody saying, he looks kind of funny when he throws the ball. Little did we know, or I guess y'all did know, that he's going to be playing for the Yankees and winning major league awards and having a long career. And wow, what a player.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I mean, I knew right away, because I remember you talked about Jared Bradford. That was my first fall at bat and my first bullpen. And it was like I catch the bullpen, I almost broke my thumb, because I'm like, the balls just had so much sink, and I'd never seen that before. So like I go to face him, and I'm like, at best, I'm just pounding it straight in the ground. And DJ gets up there first at bat, throws him a sinker in for a ball. Very next pitch, throws him another sinker up double right center, just like stays inside it, gets underneath it. I'm just like, who is this guy? So he's like you knew right away, like kid could just hit.
He was so athletic at 6'4" too, right? He was a little lighter then, and he moved really well side to side for how long he was, and that's where he would field balls on the other side of second base, and it was almost like he would be fielding it like a normal ground ball, and it was hit hard, and you were like, how did he get to that? So those were the things that I remember, was his baseball IQ, his awareness on the field, his ability, to Micah's point, to just bat on ball, hit the ball the opposite way, recognize pitches. He's always been more advanced. And I was fortunate. I played with DJ in a tournament coming into LSU, so I got to know him a little bit, and I saw him there, and I was like, this kid will never come to campus, right? So for me to even have him show up, I was like, oh, this is great. Yeah, this is awesome. So
hit the jackpot. Matty Ice out of the pen. You stick him in the game, bases though nobody out, and he'd somehow get out of it.
Yep. Yeah. Same thing with Mikey. It's like, I know early on, like some struggles there, fall and all that stuff, but then once he got going, I mean, he was unhittable.
Talking to Austin Ross, remember his turbo sinker at like 94, and we were like, what is this?
Yes.
His stuff, chilled out a little bit throughout his career, but that year it was
like the arm angle and like the velocity, the slider that just felt like it never stopped moving. Like it looked like it was just going to be there, and as soon as you start swinging, it just takes off the other direction.
And speaking of Austin Ross, real quick, if I see him in person, he'll probably punch me in the face, because I've referenced him a few times over the years as saying, well, look, you're not going to have 3 amazing starters. His record was 6-8 that year, and his ERA was 5.1. Now he's got a national championship ring, and I've done nothing in my life. But anyway, I always reference that, right? I mean, you're not going to have 3 guys. They're going to be 3 Anthony Ranaudos and Lewis Coleman's, but I'm sure
it's not bad though that year.
Yeah, like
he can't throw
I would have never guessed that.
I actually thought you were going to go the other way and be like, he actually had a 3.2 ERA, and he was solid. Like that's what I thought in my head you were going to go when you said that. So,
5.1, 6-8. He made 19 appearances, started 17, 83 innings. Gave up 101 hits, 50 runs, struck out 76. Only gave up 2 home runs.
To your point, he was our Sunday guy. He only gave up 2 home runs. And Cade Anderson, when you have a good team, he gave up 5 the other day. The team realized they had to score. On Sundays, we were like, cool. Austin, throw strikes, don't give up homers, keep us in the game. And he was like, cool, do that. I can go 5 or 6. And you know what I'm saying?
The thing is, he always went deep into games. You never had to worry about him coming out in the second, third inning and taxing the bullpen.
Eat up the innings, right?
He was a great pitcher.
Austin,
really
you were amazing.
Yeah. And he had a great pro career. He should have pitched in the big leagues, honestly.
Yeah.
He was a great pitcher, yeah. So
let's see, going down the line here. Lewis Coleman, country boy, right? And the light didn't come on till I think late 2008. I think I remember going to cover one of his games. I think y'all fell behind 9-0 one time, the old box. But man, the light came on for him, and then the rest is history.
Yeah, I mean, we don't win the national championship without him coming back from 2008 because he got drafted. He could have left.
Yeah.
But he knew there was unfinished business, and his story in 2008 is incredible, and what he went through and came out of, and then ends up doing what he did in 2009. I mean, I can't say enough about Lewis Coleman. That's for sure.
One of the best.
Best human being on earth. Just a great guy overall.
Just the man.
Anthony Ranaudo, Micah Gibbs, screw those guys. Okay, moving down
He's the best hitter on that team.
I knew exactly who he was pointing at
If
right
you look
before,
at the
right?
stat sheet, it might be under the little dots for the required amount of at-bats, but I mean, I'm pretty sure Bo Didier went one for one with was it a grand
Homer? Yeah, it might have been. Was it a
grand slam?
Might have been a granny.
How many RBIs did he have?
Yeah, how many RBIs did Bo Didier have on that? Is it on there?
Bo Didier, he batted 1,000.
Yep. What,
That's
one
it.
homer?
He appeared in one game,
Yep.
one at bat, 1 run, 1 hit, 1 home run,
Yep.
and 2 RBI.
2-run
So it's a 2-run homer.
Best hitter on the team.
That's
He actually had to have
What
Tommy
game was
John.
that?
He had Tommy John. So it was
Villanova
it was
opening weekend.
opening
It was the
weekend.
Sunday on-
So he's
yeah.
about to have Tommy John. So coach throws him out there to get him an at bat.
Literally having Tommy John on Monday.
Yeah.
And then Sunday hit the home run. So
Yeah.
coach was like, "You want to hit, Bo?" And he's like, "Yeah, give me a bat." Literally goes up homer. We were like, "What?"
So we won a national championship without our best hitter.
Yeah, exactly. Literally, it was like a joke on Tiger droppings. I was like, "Who's this Didier guy? 1 for 1 with a homer. We're excited about him next year."
That's beautiful. Awesome stuff. Blake Dean, deadly hitter, right? Went on to coach at UNO for 9 years and is moving on to something else now. But
one of the best hitters I've ever
Probably
seen.
most clutch hitters for us too.
Yeah.
Like the stuff he was doing in the SEC tournament, postseason.
08 was silly.
He was unconscious.
It was silly.
Yeah.
Nolan Cain, Big Cat, y'all called him, right? And so he's now he's been an outstanding coach for years in terms of recruiting and whatnot. And so did you kind of sense that from him when he was a teammate that, hey, this guy's going to coach? Or
If you go back and watch any of the games, like most of the time he's either standing right by Rooney or right by Maneri in the dugout. He's always standing by the coaches. He was always trying to learn. Like you knew he was going to be a coach.
Always doing
Whether
spray
it's
charts
pitching,
and everything too. He was always charting when he didn't need to or whatever. He would literally spray chart and then go pitch later in the game because he just wanted to know and learn and all that.
And I remember when I first got into coaching, I love numbers, obviously. He was ahead of just about everybody that I knew in the coaching space. He knew everything, the TrackMan data to a T, even the hitting side of things. He just studied all of it. He kind of he's sneaky, extremely good at all that advanced analytics and understanding the pitching side of things. It's incredible.
T-Bob is nerdy about Star Wars, and he was nerdy about baseball numbers, right?
That was nowadays. That was the thing back in 2016, 17, before anybody knew anything about what all these pitching metrics meant. He was telling guys hey, it's going to look like it's here. You got to swing here because the ball stays up for whatever reason. The things we didn't know when we were playing, where we'd constantly be popping the ball up in the infield or swinging underneath it. He could see it in the data and be like, "You got to swing over the ball or try to hit on top of it." He was
very good at that.
Yeah.
He would understand it. He taught me a lot about analytics and data in 17, 18 when I was trying to make a comeback after my back and everything. And he was very, very innovative.
Now he's basically just waiting for the perfect job.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. And look, Jay obviously did an amazing job with that 23 team and got Paul Skeens here and Tommy White and other key pieces, Riley Cooper. But a lot of those guys, the Dylan Cruzes and Trey Morgans, and they were recruited by Maneri and Nolan Cain.
Yep.
Nolan Cain. Yeah, if you talk to a lot of guys, they love dealing with Nolan. Nolan was the one that got them here and all that. Yeah, he's really great at what he does. Yep.
All right, a couple more things before I let you go. It's been an awesome conversation. Very entertaining. I learned a lot of new things. Austin Nola, I think they would call him Father Nola because he was just so perfect, right? He'd be like, "Come on, guys, cut it out." When people would start cutting up or whatever the case may be. And Maneri's joke was he was mad at his at Nola's parents because they didn't have more kids, right? Aaron came after, and the rest is history.
Is Aaron good? Is he good at baseball?
Above average, I think, is how they classify him. Yeah, when you make $200 million in the major leagues. Yeah.
Not to mention the kid played shortstop his whole life, and then I caught my whole life, and in the middle of Pro Bowl they just say, "Hey, try catching."
Yeah.
And I worked with him, and within probably 2 weeks of working with him in the offseason, I'm like, oh, he's better than me already. Okay, this is fun. He always had the hands and accurate.
Exactly.
His throwing accuracy for me was always like when he was playing short or wherever he was playing in the infield. It's like first baseman just stand there on the bag, like never stretch, like hold the glove right here. It's there every single time.
Every time. Yep. When we talk about that, Maneri always said he was like that was one of the hardest things he ever did in the sport in coaching was move DJ from short to second. But we always say, like that was probably the move that needed to be made, and Austin definitely made sure that was the right move. The way he played his freshman year too, just at shortstop, how solid he was and everything. That was so big. Yeah,
couldn't get 5 words out of either of them. I mean, they were not talkers, very quiet, very almost, I don't want to use the word meek, but it was like you had if you didn't watch them play baseball, you may not have any idea that they were just as amazing as they were.
It was like maybe 3 or 4 years ago he finally went away from the flip phone. I think he finally got a smartphone.
No, I do remember him that was the thing. Yeah.
And then the coaching staff was Will Davis, Javi Sanchez, David Grury, Kyle Beerbaum, Ross Brzezowski, and of course your head coach Paul Maneri. So Javi always got beat up, right? I mean,
Fire Javi.
It was always his fault no matter what happened. But I mean, there were a lot of good things that happened, obviously, when he was coaching.
Oh, yeah. I mean, Javi taught me so much. Like, a lot of it was kind of like how to handle myself. I mean, Anthony was a little different in college. Probably still am a little bit. So he taught me kind of the things of like how to handle myself, be like a little bit more of an adult, and like all those types of things. But Javi was like a second dad to me, and not to mention he was obviously I thought he was a great hitting coach.
Yeah.
He knew the game. His baseball IQ was off the charts, one of the highest I've ever been around. He just picked up on things that nobody else could. But I thought he was fantastic.
Wild statement. I don't think there's any shot we win a national championship without Javi Sanchez.
That's correct.
Yeah, because of his leadership, the baseball IQ. He played for Maneri at Notre Dame, so he knew Maneri. His ability to communicate with the hitters and be like, "Hey guys, I know what's happening. I was there. I did it right." But then also, he was never involved with the pitchers, but he was a catcher, so he understood. At times, he caught in his career, right? And he understood how to come and talk to guys and communicate and be a leader from afar. And it was the most amazing thing for me to see as one of the main pitchers on the team to be like, Javi's the man, but doesn't really teach us anything about baseball, but teaches us how to be leaders and teammates and go to win. That was the coolest thing for me from Javi. So I don't think we win a champion. And the way he brings people together,
Maneri would always say, Javi's like my 5th child, So they were always very tight.
They were,
over the years. Well, look, this was great. Gibby, Micah Gibbs, catcher, Anthony Ranaudo, pitcher. We got him sitting down because he's 6'7". So Gibby,
standing up right now.
So this was great. Thanks for stopping by. Thanks for being part of Jock Talk. LSU baseball, ain't it great? We'll see you later.
Go Tigers.